gentlemen, and welcome to a new episode of Africa Today, where we get you the latest news and events taking place on the African scene. And today we will be talking about the inauguration of the Nasr Intermediate Chemical Company factories in Abu Rawash. And on this topic, we're glad to be joined over the phone by Ambassador Gamal Bayoumi, former assistant to the Foreign Minister. Good afternoon, Mr. Ambassador. Ambassador Bayoumi, President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi inaugurated the Nasr Intermediate Chemical Company factories in Abu Rawash. Sir, how do you see the significance of this mega project?
I hope that all of us watch on a larger time span what the President and the government are doing since decades. Here we are opening some new projects in the industrial field. Also, a few days ago, we were talking about agriculture and one additional 1 million faddan to be cultivated. We are expanding our efforts in all fields, whether it is services, industry, agriculture, social, like healthcare or education, name it. Because some of us are watching or listening to one piece of news, and they think that this is all what we are doing. We are doing everywhere. We have a plan, and if you're keen to know it, you just open the page of the Ministry of Planning. You will see that every village in Egypt is mentioned in this plan, and when we shall establish this or that project. So I am so glad to watch on daily basis what the government is doing. Of course, we are not in the best situation because the whole world is suffering from the epidemic of corona and the results and the economic negative impact of the war in Ukraine. And we have our problems also. But I think that according to what we see and what every international monetary organization is saying, that we are on the right track. Okay, this is good, but not good enough. We have to double and triple our work in order to cover the increase in our population. MashaAllah, we gave birth to 26 million children in the last 10 years. This is double the size of a country like Greece. So it's also a duty in order to cover their needs and in order to cover our aim to be better tomorrow.
Yes.
So I am glad, and as a citizen, I want to watch more and more of these activities.
Sir, the project delivers gaseous and liquid oxygen and other medical gases to about 135 hospitals and specialized medical centers. How do you see or evaluate the significance of the product that will be the result of the inauguration of these factories today?
First, it supplies us with products which we are in great need. Second, it replaces what we were importing. Now our balance of trade is getting better. Third, it employs thousands of new generation who are aiming to work and to have a relatively good job in order to be in a better life. So many things you can read from such an event. And I'm glad that we are producing more and more, especially in industry, and especially in this very important type of industries.
Sir, how do you view the development that Egypt has witnessed throughout the past several years in this sector?
It is a very, very good improvement, but still I am ambitious, and I hope for my country even double of what we are seeing, because we deserve much better. But we are much better than hundreds of other countries who are suffering from negative rate of growth. Even in Europe, in China, in the United States, all of them are growing negatively. this year is not very good for the whole international community. But with the exception of very few countries, Egypt among them, which is growing positively. But it is positive, but not enough according to the birth rate in Egypt and according to our hopes and our aims for better life.
Yes, well, Ambassador Bayoumi, the private sector has played a bigger role in the process of development in almost all sectors countrywide in recent years. How do you evaluate this?
This is what I was explaining, that we are everywhere. We are trying to expand and increase our efforts in all the fields we need. Not only what we need, but what other countries would need from us, because we do not produce only for the local market, but the good idea that maybe we are producing something we don't use, but it is very important for China or for Europe or for the Arab world or Africa. This is exactly what we are doing, and I hope we expand this as much as we can, and I think we deserve it and we can do it.
Ambassador Bayoumi, the industry sector is one of the key supportive sectors in the Egyptian economy. What's your take on that?
Yes, it is good, but not good enough, because the problem in Egypt and also in the whole Arab world, that we are investing mainly in services. 80% of our investments going to services such as housing or tourism and so on. 9% is only addressed the industry and less than 3% for agriculture. Now this government is doing its best to change this formula. We have to do much more in agriculture, much more in industry, because the services is getting most of our investment, which is a good investment and quick results, but we shouldn't abide to this. We have to explore our efforts towards industry and agriculture. That's why I am happy with the project which is the President is opening today.
Sir, how far does the industrial production increase the national income?
I beg your pardon?
How far does industrial production increase the national income or affect the national income positively?
Absolutely, because as I said, it gives us a chance to export. It gives us the chance to cover our needs internally in our local market. And the best of all, it is giving the chance for more and more employment and jobs for our generation, the young generation especially. And by the way, we are a very young country. The majority of this country are young people. This means that we shall increase in number more and more. And this is a big challenge for us. And so it calls us to make more and more efforts for industry, for agriculture.
Ambassador Bayoumi, in your opinion, what are the fields that should be stressed upon in the near future when it comes to industrialization in Egypt?
This is a good question, because if you analyze our imports in Egypt, you will find that 70% of our imports are machine industry. We need machine industry. We are a very famous country concerning yarn and textile, and we do not produce the machines for yarn or textile. We have to do this. We do not produce ships while we are in the middle of the area of exporting oil much more than any other area. So it's time to go to shipbuilding. The second item we need is ways and means of transport. We have to enter immediately in the car industry, in the tractor industry, in the trains and railways industry. This is the second. The third is the food. We have a gap of food in the Arab world which exceeded $55 billion a year. So these are the three main targets which we have to address in the near coming future.
Well, Ambassador Bayoumi, talking also about investment, what kind of incentives or encouragement can we give to investors to start injecting money in projects here in Egypt?
Very important, and it's not a matter of money. It is a matter of to save the time of the investor, because he is calculating how many hours it would take him to put his first $1 million in the bank until he gets the first $1,000 in profits. Our bureaucracy is still killing the investor, wasting his time. Our banking system is still asking you to sign in a certain way or to follow bureaucratic procedures. Then the justice system, if you have to go to the court, you will have to wait in average 9 years in order to get a judgment. Those are three things do not cost us money, but it needs much more improvement in our attitude and our performance. Then we come to how we attract investor by giving him appropriate land, how we are going to give this land. Shall we sell it? Shall we give it on auction? Shall we give it gratis like some countries like Brazil or Morocco or Tunisia? And many other ways to attract the investor. But the most important, don't waste the time of the investor.
Right. Well, I would like to thank you very much, Ambassador Gamal Bayoumi, former assistant to the foreign minister. Many thanks for your insight. And dear viewers, now we go to this report. The UN General Assembly has approved the re-election of Egypt as a member of the UN 31 Member State Peacebuilding Commission. More details in this report.
The United Nations General Assembly approved the re-election of Egypt to the membership of the Peacebuilding Commission for a 2-year term during 2023-2024. Permanent representative of Egypt to the UN in New York, Osama Abdel Khali, stated that Egypt's re-election comes after obtaining the support of the African group in New York. The re-election reflects Egypt's extended contributions in supporting peace-building efforts in Africa during its presidency of the Peacebuilding Commission in 2021. Abdel Khali said that it also reflects its leadership role in reconstruction and development in the wake of the conflicts in the AU. Abdel Khali assured Egypt's commitment to continue working with all concerned parties to support efforts aimed at enhancing the effectiveness of the United Nations peace-building structure, especially by providing adequate, sustainable, and predictable funding for peace building. He stressed the importance of allocating financial resources for peace-building activities within the UN budget to enable the Peace-Building Fund to respond to requests for support from member states, especially in Africa, to prevent countries from slipping back into conflict.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of this edition of Africa Today. Many thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more coming up here on Nile TV International.